All right, testing, 1, 2. Yes. Hello everyone. My name is Octavius, and I was going to go over, as I mentioned in the previous video, basically to show you guys my process in creating Fret. Unfortunately, I didn't take a lot of pictures. I thought I took more than I did, but I took very few, apparently. But I'll show you what I did take, and yeah, and I'll just say a little bit of how my process went and show you the mistakes I made along with it. So essentially, like I said, I made them out of a couch cushion that I had in the garage. As you probably see here, it's just a foam cushion that I cut out because I was going to make the head and the body out of foam. The head, I went ahead and shaved that down until almost like a half a dome, and then you see I used Sharpie marker to create where I was going to cut the hole for my hand. And I kind of did the same thing with the body. If I go down here, and here you can see where all the materials that I use. You can see the head there, kind of there in the middle. The body is that giant circle with the hole cut in the middle. You can see the mouth plate on top of the foam back there, and then the stuffing that was in the couch cushions. I had to tear all that off of the cushion. I ended up using all that material as stuffing for Fret's body because I ended up not using the foam body because it was just way too large. You'll see further down the video, I made everything pretty much supersized. It was insane. But yeah, so if I continue going, well, we'll continue going here. Let's see. Here's another shot of me just the mouth plate. I probably shouldn't have had that gap there. I should have probably put them closer together. You can probably see when I'm puppeteering Fret, he has a lot of loose fabric, and I was going to try to cut that out and just sew it so it wouldn't be that loose. But I already had his head fully constructed by the time I did that, so it was kind of hard for me to do that, so I just left it alone. I'll have to find a way to get back in there and fix that and tighten it up. As I mentioned in the previous videos, his jaw is kind of loose, so it gets away from my thumb. So his bottom jaw ends up just being floppy, and I gotta readjust, and that's not good when you're trying to, to do some puppeteering. Here's another shot of the mouth. So I got the bottom jaw there on the left, and then the top where the head is on the right. The fabric I used was out of an old t-shirt that I had lying around. Thankfully I had it. It was really a Christmas shirt. It's kind of like a Santa. I think I bought it for Ugly Sweater Day for Christmas. But I didn't have a sweater, so I just ordered a t-shirt that had the Santa Claus get up on it. It worked out all right, but I never used it again, so I figured I'd use it for fabric. And it turned out pretty good. Let's see what else we got here. We got a close-up of Fret's head after I got everything glued. Gluing was the most difficult part for me. I could not get anything to glue. I've used several types of glue. We went to Michael's craft store and we got the spray-on glue because that's what Puppet Nerd suggested especially if you're using the foam. The foam in the inside of the body. And we got the Elmer's spray-on glue, which I thought, because I was being cheap. And I was like, you pay for what you get. So if you get the Elmer's, but it actually worked out really well. That was the only glue, surprisingly, that worked out well. So I used the Elmer's glue on the mouth plate, and it actually stuck, and I was really surprised. So if we go down, here's another shot of, let's go. There we go. Another shot of just the side view. See, as you can see, there's all the loose fabric that I should have just cut it out right there. But I was rushing through this entire project. I actually didn't believe that I would get it done. It's just something I did on a whim when I was going through YouTube, and for some reason, the puppet nerd video popped up in my feed, and I decided to give it a watch because it just popped in my head. I love puppets. Why haven't I tried to make one? And so I'm an artist. I've drawn all kind of things. I've sculpted. Like I've never tried to make a puppet. I've made teddy bears. But I've never tried to make a puppet, which was insane to me. You would think I would have been, attempted it. But yeah, this is my first go. But yeah, I really should have got rid of that loose fabric there. Next video is just a shot of the fabric. This is the fabric that the couch was made out of. And I figured I'd just use it since everything else. I didn't want to just throw all this fabric away. So I cut out these like rectangular strips out of the couch cushion covers, and I just figured I'd use them for something. I didn't know what at the time, because the idea was to make, if you guys remember what Ralph looked like from the Muppets, he had brown fur, which was actually like fur, but then on his face, like kind of halfway, like he had I say from his forehead down, it was a different type of fabric. So it wasn't fur. I don't say it was skin. It was still fur, but it was like shaved down, essentially. So that's the kind of look I wanted to go for Fret, just to kind of mimic Rolf. But here, I'll show you the shot. So let's go over here. So this is the face. And so yeah, so this was the idea. So if you look at Ralph, he was all brown, so I was gonna go for gray and black on Fret. So it started out fairly well. Like I was satisfied with this look, but when I went further and started applying the fur fabric, here's another shot of with the mouth open, and I really needed to whittle down these edges, but I knew I was going to glue them and then put the fur over it. Well, not at this point. I knew that later when I decided to scrap this idea, but I was going to glue these edges down into the mouth, but like I said, the glue wasn't working, and it started to, you get all that residue from glue when it doesn't stick, and it just started to build up, and it was looking really bad, and I started getting discouraged at this point. Let's see, what's the next shot here? Let's get over. Oh, so this is the fur fabric I got. This was from Michael's Craft Store. I'm not even sure what this fabric is called. My wife and I went there just on a whim, and I thought it was going to be super expensive, and that's another reason why I thought I wasn't going to get this done. I was looking for cheap fabric, so we actually went to the Goodwill to see if we could use anything from there, so I can get it super cheap. But the Goodwills that we went to, they just didn't have anything, which was surprising, because I was going to use like maybe old like teddy bears or like an old blanket that maybe had the right color and texture I wanted, but none of them had what I was looking for. So we ended up going to Michael's Craft Store, which they had this. It was 2 yards of fabric for $20. So I ended up getting 40 yards because I wasn't sure how much I needed. But it worked out great. I still have plenty of fabric left. I could actually make a second puppet if I wanted to. I could have just got a yard, but I knew I'd make mistakes, and I knew I would end up wasting fabric, so I decided to get more than I needed. For any tips out, any advice for young creators, it's always good to get more than you need, because you will always make mistakes. Well, at least I do. I know I do. Next shot here is So this is the head when I started applying the fur. Wasn't really digging the way it was coming out. I'm not sure if maybe I should have put the fur a little closer to the front of the face. But I just wasn't liking the way it was looking. So at this point, the entire idea of mimicking Ralph, I scrapped it, and it just wasn't coming together. I was frustrated with the glue, the residue. It just kept building up on the mouth because nothing was sticking. The glue held up on the fabric, the fur fabric on the couch cushion fabric. That actually stuck, and I was really surprised. So I don't know why the t-shirt fabric wasn't sticking to the couch cushion fabric. It just wouldn't go. Maybe someone who's more experienced may know more than I. But yeah, it just wasn't working out. Here's a second shot, a little angle of the same head there, and we keep going, and this was going to be the body of the puppet. So I was going to go with a foam body and just have from the head, or say the neck of the puppet down, it would just kind of drape over, and then I would just glue it to this body. So it'd be like kind of like a candy corn shape, like a triangle is what I was going for. So we just have this like giant belly at the bottom. But I made this way too big. This was just way too large. Combined with the head, and then I knew I'd have to do the arms. It would be a monster of a puppet, which I guess kind of was my idea, because I wanted to do a sack puppet to mimic Ralph, but I knew I at the time I didn't know that sack puppets required like multiple people to puppet, and I didn't know. I guess you can get like a stand to have the body on, and then you can just control one of the arms with your arm. But I don't have the setup to do that. Like because I actually wanted to make video, so I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that because this room isn't that huge, and I don't have. So I basically scrapped everything, and I said I'm just going to make a smaller puppet. So I scrapped this idea, and then I moved. I basically, we'll keep going, because I guess I did keep going because I have the nose here. So this is the nose. I basically cut kind of like a pyramid out of the foam cushion, and then I just sewed the fur fabric on to that piece of cushion, which gave me my nose. I guess I should say now that I did not measure like anything. I just kind of eyeballed everything, which was probably a mistake. No, it wasn't. It was a mistake. I really should have measured things, because here's the back view. Forgive my stitching. It was hard stitching this fabric onto the cushion, because it had to be gentle, because the thread would basically cut through the foam. So I didn't want to make it too loose, but I wanted it tight. So I kind of had to go deeper into it just to make sure that it wouldn't cut through. Which it didn't really matter, because it ended up getting scrapped, as you'll see in the next picture here. Yeah, I made the nose entirely too big. I knew I wanted to have his nose big, but I didn't want it to be that big. Hence is why I should have measured what I was doing instead of just eyeballing it. Look at that stars. I don't know what. Oh my goodness. So I know I said so yeah, at this point I really decided this was when I completely stopped working on everything and started from the ground up. So essentially I went back to the foam, and I when I started redoing everything, I followed the same process, just scaled down. Again, I still didn't measure anything, so Lord help me, it worked out well this time though. So just imagine everything just redone, and I basically, I don't have any pictures because I was rushing through, but after I redid everything, this is the image that I got. So like I said, I whittled it down, the headpiece. The bottom jaw, I did the same, just made it smaller. And instead of using the couch cushion fabric for the face, I just used the fur to cover the entire face, which it worked out very well. The nose here, instead of using the fur, because I wanted to have contrast, like I didn't want his entire body to be fur, but I didn't want it to be entirely like a different fabric either. So for the nose, instead of making it out of the fur, I used chunks of the couch cushion fabric, and I used the same thing. I used a piece of the cushion, and I just sewed the fabric onto that. Later on, I kind of went back and cut out some of these edges, because you can see it's not completely triangular here, but I kind of whittled it down without snipping the fur. The eyeballs, it took me a while, but I'm one of my videos, I said I got the eyeballs from Michael's, which was incorrect. We actually got the eyeballs from a Dollar Tree. At the time, I didn't even know what they were. I thought it was styrofoam, but it's not styrofoam. It's fluorofoam. For those who don't know, I believe you use fluorofoam in when you're making like house plants, but they're not real plants. They're the fake plants. So you use the fluorofoam to stick the stems in there, and then you can manipulate like the plants how you want them to look. So I just bought 2 balls of those. I thought I had an image of them. Let me see if I can find it. Where did that image go? Let me see. It's got to be in here somewhere. Oh. Here we go. So here they are. So these are the floral balls, and I'm actually glad I found them. I was looking on Amazon for eyes, but I didn't. They were like 3 inches in diameter, and I'm not sure. I wanted Fred's eyes to be pretty big, and I didn't want them to be like bulging out of his head like most puppets, like Gonzo or Kermit the Frog. I mean, his eyes protrude, Fred's does, but not that much, and I wanted him to have eyelids. So basically, I just cut these balls straight down the middle, and I use fabric from the couch cushion to give him eyelids, and I just use scraps of excess fur to use as his eyelashes. As you can see from this image here, I should have took a better picture, but like I said, I'm horrible at this, so I apologize. Like I said, I'm not really professional. I just did this on a whim. I'm not really good at recording myself or, speaking on camera or whatever. But this, yeah. Like I said, the glue actually worked well on the foam. And on the eyelashes, it came out really well, actually. I was surprised by that, too, because the glue was not working out. And I guess I should tell you, I like I said in one of my earlier videos, I just gave up on gluing things. I still use glues for, like, the eyes. But for Fred's ears, his body, his head, everything I sewed on, hand stitched. I don't have a sewing machine, so everything was hand stitched. It took a long. It wasn't hard. It just took a long time. Especially the body didn't take too long. His body is just a tube. So think of a pillow that has a hole in the middle. So I just basically did that. So I can put my hand up through the body into the head. And the arms weren't too bad either. Here, let me give you another shot of, there we go. So this is him. So you can see a little bit of his body here. So it's just a tube that go up into his head. And then I got the eyes glued on. I didn't use the Elmer's glue to glue the eyes on. I used the hot glue gun. I had a hot glue gun for a while. I just never used it. I forgot. I think I was trying to make a Halloween costume, and I was going to use the glue gun for something, but it fell through. So I've just had a glue gun. But I used that to get the eyes on there. I had to do a couple coats. I'm probably going to do another round because it feels like it's loosening up. But yeah, they've been on there. It's actually pretty good. So for the ears, so you can see from this image, I just cut rectangular squares out of that couch cushion fabric again, and I cut out rectangular squares of the fur fabric, and I just sewed those together. And I initially made a mistake. For anyone who sews knows, when you're doing the stitching, you do it inside out first, and then when you're almost done, you flip it. You turn it back inside out, and that's how you get that smooth edge. Because if you do it the other way, you'll see the stitches, and it just doesn't look pretty. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is. I took home ec in middle school. That's where I learned to sew. And that knowledge has stuck with me for a while. Like I said, I don't know the terms of all the stitching techniques, but I did. They stuck with me for a while. I've sewn a lot of stuff together. So yeah, that's how I got the ears on there. And then once the ears were done, I just sewed them. I should have took a picture of the top of his head, but they just sewed them on the top of his head. I was gonna put like little fur tufts on the ears to make it look like fur was kind of sticking up, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to have hair on him or not at this point. Let's see what the next shot is. Oh, just another shot. So here, it's just a different shot, I guess. I did once. So the eyeballs, like I said, it's floral foam. So I used Sharpie marker to color in the eyes here, but that wasn't going over very well. It just because it wasn't, it's not a smooth surface. So instead of using the Sharpie, I just used actual paint. I had black paint, and that went over very well. But then I noticed the eyes, the foam, it wasn't completely white. It was kind of like this off-white. So I had to actually go back and paint the entire eye white. Which I should have done that before I glued the eyes on. But as I said, I didn't plan for anything. This is just everything on a whim, which is kind of hard because I didn't want to get paint all over Fred. And I did get a little bit on him, but I was able to get it off. And then, so once I got the eyes painted white, I went and painted the pupils back on black. And it came out pretty well. Later on in the other videos, you can see I gave him some iris, which I went with hazel because I didn't want everything to be black and gray, just to give him a little bit more color. Eventually, I will get around to fixing his mouth because I want to give him a tongue and then maybe the uvula back there. We'll see. we'll see if I can get in there and make it look good. I'll probably end up doing that just to give him a little bit more detail. And then the next shot is just me holding Fred up. This was just a test to see if if he didn't basically fall apart once I started manipulating him, like making him move around and stuff. And it held up well. It held up well. I should say the back of his head is still not done, but I just wanted to see if everything would hold up. Even now, I still have to sew the back of his head. Like, it's sewed back there, but it's like there's still holes and stuff. You can't see it because of the fur, but yeah, I still need to go back there and finish sewing everything up. So at this point, yeah, you can see his tube body that I just made. I was gonna give him like little feet down here, but after speaking with my wife, she's like, you probably don't need feet. And I kind of agree. I probably don't. I may add some little paw feet down there. Maybe. We'll see. But I wanted to add some arms after this. The arms I really screwed up. So this is going to be one of his paws. If anyone, yes, you can probably tell at this point, I went way. So the idea was to have like these, the little paw things on the, puppies have on their paws. This is little pads, and I wanted his arm. I wanted the paw and the arm to be separate, but it just didn't work out. I got it constructed, but here I'll show you the end result so you can just see what I'm talking about. It's horrible. It did not come together the way I had it in my mind. So I kind of scrapped the paw idea. I mean, I haven't scrapped it. I just kind of did an audible. So what I did was I took off the little pad, the gray pads, and I just made his arm like a long rectangle for now. I will get back to like giving him paws, but I actually have an idea that I'm going to see if I can execute. So basically, because in the videos you can see me using a hand rod or arm rod, but I'm thinking about not using that and using like my actual hand, kind of like a pseudo sack puppet deal. What I'm going to try to do is like make a glove, but it's actually Fred's arm or hand. So I can use my actual hand while using the puppet, but without using the hand rod. I'll probably do a video so you can, I'll experiment with it first to see if I can actually do it. I mean, I know I can do it. I just wanted to make it look good and not like this monstrosity that I did here. So once I got Fred all put together, this is the shot of him completely put together. I still got a few modifications. I did end up putting the hair up top of his head. The hair is just yarn that's been combed out. So I just took black strands of yarn and I just kept combing until I got actual hair. I was gonna give him some on his chest here too, so he can have like little puffs of hair. Because I was wondering if I should give him like Sonic the Hedgehog has that round circular shape on his body. I was kind of gonna do the same thing with Fred, but it was gonna be like the gray that I use for his nose under his ears. But I'm kind of undecided on that. I'm not sure if I want to do that. So I was just gonna go with maybe like hair on top of his head, just on his body. But I haven't. I'm not sure. I might play around with it, but not like sew or glue it on just to see what it looks like. But yeah. But that's what we have here. This is Fred. I'm going to keep making modifications. I'll try to get his mouth fixed. Yeah, and just make little tweaks here and there over time. So we can make Fred the best Fred he can be. Oh, and I named him Fred because I'm teaching myself how to play the guitar. I've always wanted to learn how to play a instrument. I started off teaching myself how to play the piano, which I was actually getting pretty good at it, but I kind of wanted an instrument that I could, a portable one. So I was thinking maybe some kind of wind instrument, but I was like, no, I'm not really good at that. And and then I tried the violin, which the violin was good. I wasn't that great at it though. So I ended up settling on the guitar, and I rather enjoy playing the guitar. I'm teaching myself how to play like old retro game theme music. Started off with some Mario, some Sonic the Hedgehog themes, but it's been enjoyable, and I've enjoyed it so much, and I was like, what's a good name for the puppet I'm making? So I went with Fret. For those who don't know, frets are the spaces in between the guitar neck. So yeah, his full name would be Fret Headstock, but my wife said it's probably too much, so I was like, Fret, yeah, whatever. But yeah, that's the conception and construction of Fret. Like I said, I'll continue giving him some modifications and fixing some things. But yeah, I'm really satisfied with what I came out. Shout out to Puppet Nerd for the video and for encouraging me to do this project. I really enjoyed my time on it. I enjoyed the final product. Yeah, and I'll keep making them, just to see what I come up with. I appreciate you guys. Anyone who actually sat through and listens to me ramble, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys later.